as much as people will look at you, there is the other people go, but how's that going to work for me?
Yeah.
So I think a piece of advice for someone who's looking to kind of marketing strategies for their social media, it doesn't always need to be about you to inspire other people. So where's the success stories of others to inspire?
That's a great point, Kelly. As a business and as a brand that is trying to portray or saying, which our new brand strapline is, we lead the way in changing lives forever, where's the demonstration? Where's the proof? I think it's even more important to have testimonials and visual and verbal and written proof that we can do what we say we can do. Especially as a business and a brand in my space, it's fundamental to tell as many stories as possible.
Yeah. Welcome to the show, Kirk. It's great to have you here. Well, we've actually been introduced through mutual friends. So you've attended self-development events in London that I've been to. We've just been on different times in doing that. So
Yes.
Welcome to Dubai and welcome to the Kelly Loma podcast.
Thank you for having me. And I must say this setup is absolutely fantastic.
Oh, thanks
It really
for coming.
is.
To my second home. I feel like I spend a lot of time here. We had our book launch last week here at Podster.
Yeah.
And I'm here for the day recording content. So would you like to give everyone a little intro? Because I've been quite keen to speak to you. I've looked through the Instagram page. I've done my research and you came highly recommended. Tell everyone a little bit about who you are.
Where I'm at right now, I'll sort of work backwards. So I'm Kirk Miller, originally from Coventry, council estate kid. I would never have envisaged that I'd be in somewhere like Dubai from that beginning for sure. But where I'm at now, I'm an online coach, entrepreneur, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I'm the founder of a business called Kirk Miller Lifestyle Coaching. And simply put, Kelly, what I do professionally is, alongside a great team now, is get and keep entrepreneurs, business owners, basically successful people in fantastic shape physically and mentally, without compromising lifestyle. You know, one of my core messages with what we do with our service, our team, our community, is create lasting change. Our core program is called Built to Last. So, and it's not just about the body. You know, for me, even though people might look on the social media and think, okay, it's all about the before and afters.
Which are
not.
amazing, by the way.
Yeah, they are. And look, of course, sure, that's the clickbait, the buy-in on the surface level, but I'm sure we'll impact today. Like, you know, this isn't a job to me, it's a mission. It's shifting identity long-term, which creates that lasting change. And I don't just want to help someone look good. I want to change how someone sees themselves mentally, emotionally, because one thing I've learned with long-term behavior change, it's if you haven't shifted how you see yourself, your beliefs and all that type of stuff, then the physical change will not last. So I've started off as a very, very sort of overworked personal trainer, evolved winging my online training, and now I'd like to think a bit more of a solid foundation, understanding business a little bit more through mentors and programs as we'll impact today.
Yeah. What was that transition like from then going kind of in person to online? I guess what made you do it and how was that transition?
If I just rewind, I think it's important for the listeners to get a little bit of context of probably what got me into personal training as well.
Yeah.
You know, my original dream, Kelly, was to be a professional footballer. You know, I was the typical English kid that gets put a Manchester United shirt on at the age of 4 or 5 by his dad, even though I lived in Coventry. So full transparency, I'm the glory hunter Manchester United fan who just keeps that a little bit quieter now because we're not very good. Right? but the dream was to be a professional footballer. And that was all I thought about, Kelly. You know, and I know we spoke about identity before we kicked this show off, and we'll definitely talk about this today. But from the age of 4 up till my late teens, and eventually when I got released by Coventry, I was just absolutely obsessed with football. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I had very strict parents, hard-working, working-class parents, as I say, come from a council estate background, who made sure that I studied and all that type of stuff. But all I cared about was professional football, being a professional footballer. I get picked up by Coventry at the age of 10.
Amazing.
Right? Which, you know, so you're on that path. Very quickly become one of the better players in that Coventry team. Yeah. And the reason I love what I do now, and this will make relevance, so hear me out on this, guys. At the age of 13, I had the chance to join Manchester United. Now, that was my team. That was like, I was that kid that, picture the scene, every single Manchester United game, I'd be on the sofa with my dad, with my brother, and we'd be watching every game. I knew everything about every game, every kit. And you have that moment at the age of 13 where they call my house. I'm literally in a bunk bed. You know, you're familiar with the term bunk beds, where like, you know, I used to share a bunk bed with my brother. I was on the bottom bunk. My dad wakes me up at the age of 13. He's like, you know, really excited because he's a United fan as well. He says, you know, Manchester United scout, right? Comes off the phone. He says, Manchester United, they saw you play at a tournament and they want you to sign schoolboy forms, but you'll have to move up to Manchester. Anyway, long story short, Kelly, I had two choices at the age of 13. Do I sign for Manchester United?
Team.
Yeah, Manchester United, which I knew in my heart that was what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Or do you sign for Coventry, which is the safe option, or so I thought. Okay. Coventry found out Manchester United wanted me. Gordon Strachan, is it a Scottish legend, right? For those who are Scottish. Turns up at the training ground. He says, you're not going anywhere. We'd love to offer you a professional contract. So I get two choices. You take the safe option, which is guaranteed professional football at the age of 13, or I take the uncomfortable option, which might have to take a chance on myself and move up to Manchester, but it wasn't guaranteed. Fast forward 7 years, that so-called safe option, I get released by Gary McAllister, another Scottish legend, right? In a 30-second conversation saying, you're not good enough. And that was the first time in my life, Kelly, that I got told I wasn't good enough. And I folded. So you're then questioning, what do I do? Who am I? Purpose, clarity, identity, right? It was so obvious at the time to probably go into something like personal training and coaching and helping people.
Yeah.
But back then, Kelly, it wasn't really seen as like a career. You know, it wasn't like a proper job. And I think the rejection of getting told I wasn't good enough by Coventry hurt me so much. It was sort of like, it was like shutting that whole side of life off. Even though I was still in the gym a lot, that was my security blanket. It was too obvious. And then you're thinking like, I just need to get some security and stability. Retrained as a gas engineer, plumber.
Wow.
Right, another safe option, right?
Yeah.
Right. For 6 years, I'm the guy, somehow managed to qualify. I give hope to anyone who's trying to become a qualified plumber, by the way. But I was lost in life, Kelly. I really was. And this is why anyone listening to this podcast or looking at my social media or website after this, thinking that I'm a coach or all I care about is a body for myself or those I transform, it's nonsense. Because from the age of 20 to 26, Kelly, I was still in shape, still very similar to I am now, still had the six pack. But because I wasn't happy with what I did or who I was and my relationship with myself, drink, drugs at the weekend, reactive behavior patterns. So simply put, I was lost in life for about 5-6 years. And then what happened was 2009 was a men's health competition, you know, the magazine. Yeah. And my friend Sonia said, I think you should enter that competition. You know, I think you can win it. Because for years I'd be boring my friends to death and family. Oh, God, I've got a better body than that guy in that men's health. I really was, honestly. But I talked about it. But deep down in my heart, I didn't believe, the council estate kid could do that. So anyway, she entered 3 pictures for me. I entered the competition. Right, she did the write-up, 250-word write-up for me. So picture this. Like I didn't even do it myself. And I get a phone call a few months later, but I missed it because I was fitting a toilet in a job that I didn't like, right? Voicemail, hey, Kirk, you've made the men's health final. Can you give us a call back? So I just thought they'd call me back. Ridiculous. I called them back a week later, and it was Claire Matthews. I still remember her name. I said, hey, Claire, it's Kirk Miller here. I've made the men's health final. She said, Kirk, I'm so sorry. But we had to give you place to someone else because they didn't give you notice, Kelly, you see, because they didn't want someone having to do a 4-month diet to turn up to a men's health competition. They wanted the everyday guy who was in shape, relatable story, normal job, all that stuff. So long story short, yes. Yes, exactly. Exactly. And anyway, I messed it up, put it bluntly, and that was it. So despondent in life, cracked on for another year, still training, still living for the weekend. But during that period, started looking at personal development a little bit more, started stop playing the victim, which I did after get let go by Coventry. Started to believe in myself a little bit more, started to look at maybe what can go right, who do I want to become rather than who do I not want to become. 2010, men's health competition comes along again, and the same friend, Sonia, said, I think you should enter it again. I'm thinking, there's no way they're going to pick me again, right? She did the write-up again for me, submit some pictures, and fast-tracking to what happened. Luckily, I picked up the phone that time. I made the final, won a men's health competition. And where that plays relevance into the question you ask, and sorry for the long-winded way of getting there, but I think it's important to have some context. That was the 3rd time in my life that I needed to be brave, make a decision that was maybe aligned to who I really wanted to become and the identity really that I was trying to, that I'll be happy with. Because forget the the cover. I had a couple of men's health covers off that because they did one with a man and then one with a male and a female. The penny drop: follow your passion, follow your purpose.
Yeah.
I wasn't on this earth to be a plumber. I was 26, totally lost in life, and I basically retrained as a personal trainer. Quit my job with 5 hours personal training, literally. So there's no guarantee. And I had friends, family again. What if it goes wrong? All this stuff. But that was my third lesson or opportunity to do something different. Because I've never heard the quote, a lesson will keep repeating itself until you do something about it, or a feeling or emotion will keep resurfacing until you change what you do or what you focus on. First lesson, the uncomfortable option didn't work for me. The comfortable option, didn't work for me, was at 13. Manchester United. 20, the comfortable option of taking a safe job as a plumber, right, didn't work for me. So basically from the age of 13 to 26, 27, I sat in my comfort zone without realising it and lacking belief and all this stuff. And it was just one of those moments where, as Tony Robbins shares, like, that should do becomes a must do. And I just went for it. And as you do when you go into a career that you're passionate about, within a couple of weeks of personal training, even though I only started off with 5 hours personal training, got very, very busy quickly, was able to buy myself a car. Because believe it or not, when I quit my plumbing job, Kelly, I didn't even have a car because I've been driving around in my plumbing van, which was a company vehicle. So I had to borrow my friend's plumbing van because I thought I might have to do some plumbing jobs on the side as I'm building up my business. It kept breaking down. So imagine I was having to get taxis to my personal training sessions just to show up on time. And anyway, stumbled my way to a busy diary within a few weeks. And I suppose became a big fish in a small pond in Coventry. But with personal training, go back to your original question, you get to a point where you can only help so many people. And being brutally honest, and this is where I would talk about how important it is to not just have someone shouting 12 more or work harder in the gym. I was a glamorized motivator back then. Yes, I could give you the best session of your life, Kelly, if you worked with me for 3-4 days a week, whatever it is. But as we'll talk about with the way I've evolved with the online model, it doesn't help someone manage their lifestyle outside of the gym. It doesn't help manage someone's emotions and real life stresses, and especially the business owners, entrepreneurs that I work with, right? People have relationships to think about. They have work stress to think about. They have less time. They have shifts in values and shifts in priorities and things like that. So I got to a point in my personal training in Coventry where I thought, is this it? And you start to get a little bit despondent. Started online coaching, completely winging it. Had about 5 clients, just from social media posts, weekly phone calls. Of course, I was helping them with training and diet, and I was getting a result, but it was long-winded. I had no systems, no model, I didn't understand business, And the thing is, you think, what has business got to do with helping someone achieve a great transformation? When you have a better business model, better systems, and a better team, and a community, which we'll talk about too, you've got more genuine value to help someone shift their identity and create long-term behavior change. Because if you actually think about it, when you're trying to transform your body and you're trying to transform your habits and your confidence, it's because of your behavior and your decisions. So there are so many things that can go into that. Humans are complex people. I am one too, right? As I've already shared with you already. Did some online training, realised I was winging it. And I also realised I was outgrowing in Coventry. And I realised a couple of things. One, I needed to move out of Coventry, contemplated London, and I really needed business help. So I can't remember the year exactly, Kelly, but basically moved to London, started dipping my toe in these personal development mentorship programs, which I'm sure we've probably crossed paths on so many of it. Personal development, public speaking like yourself, and did little nutrition courses and had phenomenal mentors, and evolved from pretty much being a glamorized motivator, a pretty good one at that, but and then into winging an online business, and then what I'd like to say now, always a work in progress, is creating a genuine model team service that can help fulfill people's needs on a whole different level to when it was just me. The friction with that, of course, is when you're less experienced and you're a little bit naive in business, you think that only you can do everything. You think when you start trying to delegate or bring on help to help maybe a client or help you in business, you think they can't do it as good as you. So, I suppose one of the things I've learned from being a personal trainer to having an online business and more of an infrastructure now is one of the best questions you can ask yourself. And I remember listening to this on a Forbes interview, and Tony Robbins was getting interviewed. who are you and who do you need? Who are you and who do you need? Where is your biggest value in the business? And also what energizes you and what excites you? Like, and even in the last year or two, Kelly, you know, I can't say just now, but I've just actually hired a CEO. I can't announce it just yet.
Yeah.
Because even in the last 6 to 12 months, I realized, I thought, there's certain things here that aren't aligned to what I'm actually good at and where my time is probably best spent. So even just asking yourself a ruthless question, which I did with my mentor, Phil, in the last 6 to 12 months, are you more founder or CEO? I'll be honest, Kelly, I literally thought they were similar. I thought, oh, no, a bit of both. And I know there are some people out there probably listening to this who are probably phenomenal in both, but I'm way more founder than CEO. It's just, you know, it's so.
I ask my clients that question. What's the list of things that you want to stop doing?
Yeah.
Or what don't you like doing? And they're like, well, I have to do them all. And I'm like, you don't have to do them. And then when they start writing them out, because I remember doing that exercise myself.
Yeah.
And I hate doing accounts. Absolutely
Correct.
hate it. And I'm like, so why am I not paying an expert to do this for me?
Yeah.
Or, you know, editing videos or whatever it is, get someone to do it. So it's a great question.
Yeah, because the difference from personal training to running a online business, there's a massive difference between being a great coach and being a great businessman.
Yeah. Well, and it's sales. I think when you move into online, it's sales.
It's basically sales and marketing.
Yeah.
And I'll just speak because of my industry, right? It's so important, I believe, if you are trying to evolve as a businessman in a coaching service or a service where you are trying to transform someone physically and mentally, before you start talking about that as the sales guy at the front or the marketeer at the front, you're not going to be able to do that with 100% congruency or with as much effectiveness if you haven't actually got skin in the game. As the coach, you can actually get results. Because I think we can all get taught these great marketing tactics and sales tactics and branding tactics with the greatest respect, right? But if you know you've cut corners on actually delivering on the things you're trying to say, I believe you'll get found out at some point. So I do think that you do have to put in the hard yards in whatever industry you're in to then really put foot to the floor. Think with things like branding and marketing and sales and podcasts and speaking, because you speak with so much more confidence than if you've sort of winged it. And then you've got me on this podcast today going, Kirk, how do you transform people? And I'm like, okay, well, Kirk, you can't talk about the things you're writing about. Does that make sense?
What do you think then? Because that's quite a good point. So it's a competitive industry.
Yep.
What makes you stand out, do you think, compared to, because I know people look at looks, so they'll be, it's always like the body, and you're saying it's lasting change. What are some of the things that you do differently?
First of all, I tell the truth.
Yeah.
I stay in my lane.
Yeah.
I stay in my lane, absolutely. So even though I'm now on this podcast telling you about what we do, keyword we, it's not the Kirk Miller show anymore. You know, so our service to provide and deliver on that promise of creating lasting change, I have a team of experts and also a community with my clients who can also help contribute towards that result. So if I'm going to work with you, Kelly, I know my skill set. I've got a world-class nutritionist. I've got coaches, for example, who they've got kids. I've not got kids yet. So, but collectively, of course, we have our clients who've got dedicated one-to-one coaches and things like that. But collectively, you know, we have system, structure, communication in place and stats and data on every single client that we can spot when someone is struggling and even forward plan before these things happen, so we can put a solution in place, you know, as fast as possible. So I just think what makes us different is just the attention to detail, actually understanding the human. Yeah. Genuinely. If you're listening to this and you've tried a diet plan, you've tried a training plan, but you're still not happy with how you look, how you feel, your health, it's not the diet and the training plan that's the problem. It's not the diet and the training plan. Of course, you know, we can upgrade someone's skill set and give them a better understanding with food and training, absolutely. Yeah. But long-term behavior change, these habits have to be conditioned as who you are. You know, so if you are trying to create lasting change with your physique, with your health, and by default be more confident and live with more energy, then the habits that have created that initial physical identity need to be able to stick. And that takes time. Because what I've learned over these years, and this was me many, many years ago, all a 12-week transformation teaches you is how to stick to a diet plan or a way of managing your food for 12 weeks for most people to be in a calorie deficit, so they drop weight for a short period. Get your training sessions in for 12 weeks, get some steps in, get some sleep. These are core drivers.
Yeah.
But if that isn't sustainable at the end of that period, and you cannot wait to get off that system that's created that initial physical change.
And have a glass of wine.
But even that, Kelly, I suppose what makes it different as a business, we will work with these things you want to include, but have a structure and a system in place that's going to allow you to incorporate that without compromising how you want to look and feel.
Yeah.
Because I could put you on a diet plan for 12 weeks, Kelly. You don't need one, by the way. I'm just like, put you in a calorie deficit, like, get my before and after on that social media picture. It looks great. But if you can't wait to come off that and you go back into your real way of living and your day-to-day rituals in business and life and travel and socializing, and you don't know what to do. Yeah. One of the most common things of business owners and entrepreneurs, the fuck it mentality comes out, the all or nothing.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Well, we're all really good at that. You asked Gabby, I'm really still really good at that. If I decide to turn the screw on a night out, believe me. Right? So we understand, especially entrepreneurs and business owners, that different set of species, do you know what I mean? They're very obsessive type A characters. And so it's working with that person to go, okay, that's great. That's maybe made you successful in business, but it's not going to work with health and fitness. It's how can we look at your as-is process, look at where you want to go, and optimize your way of managing your food, your training, etc., but also your mindset, and work with you to notice emotional patterns that are letting you down when you binge and that fuck it mentality one comes in, or that limiting belief that keeps controlling you at a certain point in your journey. Because a lot of people get so far, then they can't follow through on that goal. Yeah. And from my experience at that point, it's usually a belief issue. It might be an environment issue because the environment is pulling them into poor behavior. Or is it a skill issue? But from my experience, and this is where we are totally different, in order to create lasting change, and our program is called Built to Last, it's conditioning that new identity, stretching someone's physical beliefs, emotional beliefs. So it's who they are, what they do, and how they see themselves and how they live. And what really helps people do that, and going back to your question of what is the point of difference, of course we have a plan, of course we have accountability, of course we have education, but it's also the community we've created, Kelly. If there's one thing I've learned through spending thousands and dedicating hours on personal development and understanding what makes some people change long-term and some people not change long-term, it's having an environment that supports that new identity. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
If someone has experienced progress, they're feeling great, they're doing the habits, and they like the way they look, like the way they feel, but they haven't got an environment that is aligned to those new standards and habits and behavior, eventually people will conform to the standards and the habits from the environment that created probably the inconsistency in the first place. So we are just absolutely ruthless with the attention to detail, but also create an environment where consciously and subconsciously it just rubs off. And that's why we do the in-person events as well. So even though it's an online model, Kelly, we put a lot of money, a lot of time into in-person events. We have a massive event in Dubai next week, 3 days. People fly from here, there, and everywhere. Across that weekend, there'll be, of course, a physical competition, mindset talks, socializing. We've got breathing. We've got Gabby, my partner, doing Pilates work. It's a total 360 sort of holistic approach. But above all else, it's trying to create an environment that people don't have in their day-to-day environment. Because one of the reasons people struggle so much with following through and being as consistent as what they really want to be, it's because they don't have access to the people in their life that are showing them a better way.
The average of the 5.
Yeah, it is though. And there's zero judgment, but it's not rocket science. And maybe ask yourself this, if you listen to this podcast, if you're not where you want to be, think of a time in your life or even the last few years where you felt consistent, you felt energized, you felt happy, you felt healthy, you felt strong, you felt on fire. What were you doing differently? Who were you spending more time with? Or maybe who were you having more conversations with? Which content were you absorbing more of? When you reverse engineer from that question, that will probably streamline into the fact that you probably spent time with people who were energy chargers rather than energy drainers, probably spent more time with healthier, inspiring people. And it's no coincidence that your behavior, and I suppose new way of thinking and hope for a better future, better physical identity, whatever it is more likely to happen. We spoke about mentorship programs we've both been on.
Yeah.
There's a strong chance me and you would not be sat here today had we not started dipping our toe in mentorship programs.
Yeah.
Guess what that requires though sometimes? Being uncomfortable. It might cost you some money. It might be an inconvenience at your day-to-day schedule to go and chuck yourself in that environment. You know what?
Go to that hotel in London.
Correct. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it works.
Yeah.
It works. And even if you don't take everything from a certain environment, but like, there's so many great quotes there. If nothing changes, nothing changes. And there is absolutely zero judgment. And the reason I speak with so much passion about the importance of peer group and having people in your life that hold you to a higher standard, you're listening to someone, that's why my story, I wanted to share it just very briefly. You're listening to someone whose standards from the age of 20 to 26 after I got let go by Coventry were nowhere near where they were now. So even though I was in the gym, like, beating myself up, if anything, overtraining, because that was the only area of life I had control. Yeah. Outside of that gym environment, I didn't have an aspirational environment. My peer group at weekends, where I'm getting fucked up, to put it bluntly, wasn't aligned to the future that I want now. So I know what it's like to be in an environment that pulls you down. Not pulls you down because you've got a choice. It was my response. It was my choice at the time. Yeah. But I also know what it's like to have people that stretch you and make you think better, do better, and focus on who you're trying to become.
Yeah, I love that. And I wanted to touch, there's so many parts in there. I wanted to touch on the identity piece. Something I noticed within, say, your before and afters of the entrepreneurs and the business owners that you talk about. Yeah. You actually give a bit of their story. And I quite like that, where it was like, oh, you know, so-and-so's a dentist, he was working 60 hours, or, you know, you give relevance so that people understand. It's not just a before and after. There's a lot of gentlemen that you have, but this is their job, this is what they do, this is how much they were trying to change in their life and make that a priority. What's the reasoning behind that?
You could listen to me on this podcast now and I could say, this is how you change, but there's going to be some people who are going to look at my social media and go, yeah, but Kurt, you've always been in shape. You've come from a sporting background. Yeah. You've had great mentors. Like, there is genuinely no excuse why I should not be in shape. It's my job and I've had great mentors, but that might not be relatable to someone who hasn't come from that world, who hasn't had that guidance. The reason we share the story is it's to give the millions and millions of entrepreneurs or just everyday people hope that it doesn't matter what job you have, what relationships you have, how many kids you have, whatever curveballs you have, how many times you've failed. We want to provide the backstory of our clients to go, this is where they were, this is the life they had, this is the complications they have, the people, the things they need to do on a weekly basis. But we just find a system that's helped week by week, month by month, improve and help manage their expectation, improve their behavior, their habits, slowly, steadily, but surely. So the reason we share that, Kelly, it's to hopefully inspire them that if they can, I can.
It's the relatable piece. And I think that's really interesting, because as much as people will look at you, there is the other people go, but how's that going to work for me? So I think a piece of advice for someone who's looking to kind of marketing strategies for their social media, it doesn't always need to be about you to inspire other people. So where's the success stories of others to inspire?
100%. And that's a great point, Kelly. If anything else, I mean, and this is why we're absolutely ruthless in the back end. I mean, if you could hear some of our team talks, like if we're quiet on transformations or proof for a few weeks, you know, collectively as a team, we're kicking ass going like, you know, where's the progress of our clients if we've had a sticky few weeks? Because as a business and as a brand that is trying to portray or saying, which our new brand strapline is, we lead the way in changing lives forever, don't just talk about it. Where's the demonstration? Where's the proof? I think it's even more important to have testimonials and visual and verbal and written proof that we can do what we say we can do. Especially as a business and a brand in my space, it's fundamental to tell as many stories as possible. Not just about the end product, by the way. I mean, one thing we try and do as a business as well, and when we're storytelling with our client's journey, is not just about that big, you know, euphoric before and after of, which can take a long time, by the way. It's also documenting the journey. I've learnt over the last 18 months as well, Kelly, that be transparent. If there have been some clients that have progressed, they've gone a little bit wayward, but then got back on track. It's real life. Yeah. Even our great friend Matt Wilson. So Matt he's going to be over next week in Dubai. Yeah, so he's coming over for the event, but he's actually doing a hot seat. We call it like client hot seat, where they share the story to our community, and there's going to be some guests there and things like that. But Matt is actually going to be sharing his story. I think the title of the topic, Matt he's brilliant. I think the title of the talk is something like "Losing the All or Nothing from Bailey's Bod to Great Body," or something like that. Because Matt, again, I'm sure he'll, be totally honest about this. Matt's been working with me for a few years now. Mm-hmm. Went off like a greyhound, which most entrepreneurs do. Yeah. Lost loads of body fat, felt great. Obviously, I know it was a sticky time during COVID and things like that. Then life challenges, business got in the way, put on some weight again, had some curveballs, but didn't give up, and he's kept going. And honestly, and that's what we're trying to portray. As much as I'd love to say to anybody listening to this that you're going to have this perfect journey from start to finish, right? It doesn't work. So, and Matt's testament to that. So many of the clients, the progress, the dips, and then they go again. But eventually, as long as someone is committed, they're coachable, and they don't give up. And more importantly, Kelly, they genuinely in their heart want to shift how they see themselves and create the best possible version of themselves, then eventually we'll find a way. It takes time. I mean, just in relation to my program, like another thing that is maybe different to a lot of coaches, and there are certain people who like that quick fix that maybe don't want to hear this. We don't work with anyone for less than 12 months inside Built to Last. Why? We want to give people an answer and a solution for their problems and challenges across all seasons.
It makes complete
right?
sense.
Think about this, right? There's zero judgment on this, because I say, like, this is my bag, this is my field, right? I've been a car crash in many different areas of life, right? But if someone has not been able to sustain great physical shape, great health, the confidence and energy they want to live with for 12 months of the year, without us or without professional help, there's a strong chance you probably need it if you keep going around in circles. Yeah. Because, and again, this is a point of difference, I believe, with our service of how specific we are. We're trying to identify problems. And remember, business is all about solving problems, right? Is we want to give people real world solutions. So I genuinely think, Kelly, one of the reasons people are struggling so much with their health and have this bout of consistency, they don't know how to manage their food and drink at weekends, holidays, birthdays, Christmas, right? And there's zero judgment on this, because I don't drink. Yeah, listen, there's no judgment. Listen, if Gabby was here now, my fiance, I still, when I decide to turn the screw, I'm still very good at going from 0 to 100 very quickly, right? Yeah. But I just do not drink as much anymore. It's just, I value the energy and stuff, but I do relax with my food. I just pick my battles with alcohol. But where I'm going with this is, if you're an entrepreneur, business owner, listen to this, you don't have to stop these things, right? But you need to know how to manage these things across the calendar year, because I've said this to every new client who's come on board. I've spoke about this on previous podcasts and my content. There's 52 weekends in a year, 104 days, right? Would you agree that the reason millions of people are probably overweight or just struggling with their health is because they're weekends? Yeah. Right? That's 104 days. That's nearly a third of a year. Yeah. I'm also yet to coach an entrepreneur who doesn't go away for at least 2 to 4 weeks a year. Do the maths on that, Kelly. You're talking 130 days. Then you got birthdays. Then you got Christmas. Then you got business meetings. Then you got christenings, weddings, right? That's a third to a half of a year. So you could be like an absolute lion with your diet, right? Which I don't like that word, by the way, for a half of a year, and go, right, I'm perfect. But if we don't know how to manage food, booze, and generally probably our emotional triggers that encourage us to overeat, drink, or both, then we're going to be going in yo-yos. And it's like, none of this has to stop. But what we try and do, and even with my free content, Kelly, is try and educate people on practical ways that you can just be a little bit better than what you currently are. And that might not sound fancy, but think about where most people would be if they manage their food and their calories maybe 10 to 20% better than what they're currently doing every weekend. Yeah. Across 52 weekends, that's 104 days. You're not telling me that someone who is maybe 10 pound overweight, I guarantee, even just managing that by 10, 20% better, you're going to be in a better place for your health. your physique. And they all work together. And that's where, like, when you're feeling physically good, emotionally you feel more confident.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They work together, but it's your habits and managing you and your behavior and your choices across these real world real world times in weekends and holidays that's going to dictate that physical identity you're walking around with. So, but that takes coaching.
Yeah.
Like,
And experts.
It really takes time. Like, I've got someone in my company, Kelly. His one job is to create resources, PDF resources, for every restaurant, every airport, every hotel that my clients might eat at, right? Because giving an entrepreneur and a business owner, right, a diet plan when they're traveling, they got a partner, they got kids, they want a life. How's that diet plan going to help you in those situations? So I have someone who creates resources for people's favorite restaurants, so they're not second guessing, how can I enjoy my food without compromising how I want to look? But that takes work.
Smart choices.
Yeah.
How do people find out about you? Like, what's been the best kind of marketing strategy, would you say?
Good question. I still think, like, because we're sort of, I suppose, omnipresent now, and again, you've learnt this through mentorship. You know, you got your organic, you got your paid, JVs, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think maybe it's more specific to my business. I still think you cannot beat referrals. Doing a great job, and generally speaking, if people have come through a referral, they're going to be better clients, because vibe attracts tribe. And if you've got a great client who's giving you a great result, and you like that person, there's a strong chance that the introduction to a person from that side is like them. You're probably going to like them. They're probably pre-sold as well. So that's why results, we can talk about marketing as much as you want.
Yeah.
The core is results. And that comes down to, one of my core values, Kelly, which is being honest and telling the truth. And can you genuinely do what you said you would do? Do you keep your promises to yourself and your clients? So referrals, absolutely. But also as well, I'm sure you've been down the same path. Like, we've been in the same mentorship groups. There's no denying that in the nature of my business, maybe your business too, that organic, being consistent with your organic marketing, adding value, two most prevalent channels, I would say, for new clients the last few years. Yeah. But we're going a lot heavier into like paid ads now as well, because I know the likes of Alex Hormozy, it's like you got your organic, your JVs, but if you're looking to scale, like, it's all about attention. Yeah. So,
it's quite outstanding how much he spends on ads.
Yeah, I'd love to be in a position one day to.
And it was outstanding, the amount that he spends on it, but again,
even wasn't it the free seminar he did, which was insane. The one where he.
It was the hybrid launch.
Yeah.
That's what gave me the idea. Mine wasn't quite on the same scale, but it was when he launched his book. Yeah. He did the free content piece that went out, and it was hundreds of thousands of people registered.
It was insane, but the amount of money he put into ads and to get attention for free content, but as a backhanded, he's always going to benefit. It's like you serve before you sell and things like that. He just built up so much trust. So for me, there's no skirting away from the fact referrals are strong, organic. And look, what we're trying to do now, we've got some great existing ones already, is like, JVs, collaborations, people who've got similar services to you, or have got a similar demographic to you. Yeah. But your service, my business, which is a health and lifestyle management business, it complements maybe the things a certain client is working towards, with a relevant service. So, we've got JVs and partnerships with, doctors, blood specialists, and, even a dental academy. We've got Richard Porter and Raheel. They're fantastic clients of ours. They've got a big dental academy. The amount of dentists that have sent us because we do a great job with them has been great. So, yeah.
And you've also gone into the podcasting space. So, you've got
how could I forget that, actually? I'm so, listen, that's just...
there's so much we can unpack, but that whole piece you're saying, it's about you, it's personal brand, it's, you showing up consistently. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the podcast for you, that was obviously something you thought, I need to be doing this as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great point. So I suppose when I talk about organic content, podcast ties in with that, if I'm honest. So when I say organic content, I didn't just mean Instagram. It is very much Instagram, LinkedIn, podcast, YouTube. It's free content I'm putting out there. Like, absolutely. The reason I wanted to do a podcast And that's why I admire anyone who's consistent with theirs, because I know the planning, the preparation, even the work you've gone to here, Kelly, it's outstanding. It really is. I've been on lots of podcasts, and I can just tell there's a standard, but that says a lot about you and a personal brand. And even, if I was going to work with you, I've got way more trust in you because of the preparation and stuff. So please, it's fun. It really is incredible. With the podcast, I just wanted a genuine long form content platform that could give people a lot more value than a 15-second reel, even a minute reel, because especially when I'm talking about what I can do and what my team can do in terms of long-term behavior change, identity shift, emotional change, blah, blah, blah. There's only so much you can put in a 15-second reel and a minute reel. And I wanted to add some context and depth and genuine value. So of course, reels, how can I say the first 4 seconds to get buy-in on this thing that I know is going to help someone, whether it's a training tip or a mindset tip or food tip, right?
Yeah.
But podcast, YouTube, like yourself, Kelly, I have audio for my podcast for people who want to listen audio on the go, and I film every single episode. So if people are visual learners and they like that way of learning, then I've covered both angles. So yeah, podcast has been invaluable, and it's a great lead generator for sure. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think if you are a business owner, an entrepreneur right now, and you don't have a podcast, or you aren't thinking about having one, I think you're missing out. If you've got great content and you've got a great message, and you feel frustrated sometimes you're not getting the bite off those 15-second reels on Instagram, LinkedIn, put the work into a podcast. I promise you'll enjoy it, and you'll just build up way more trust. And it's like, even with the book, I said to you about how proud you should be of the book. I think when someone consistently follows through on putting out podcasts regularly, YouTubes regularly, and certainly writes a book, you know that if you potentially work with that person, they're a doer. They follow through. Because it's so easy to procrastinate over a podcast, doing a book, doing anything that requires a little bit more effort than shooting a 15-second reel. And success leaves clues, doesn't it? I mean, some of the great people we probably mutually look up to. I mean, I've spent a lot of money and done some great courses with like your Brendan Burchards and Tony Robbins and some of these gurus. But what are they doing? They got the podcast, they got the YouTubes, and they're doing the speaking opportunities, the collaborations, and they're putting themselves out there. And it's
true.
It's and I just think now there's so much competition in so many different industries. What is your point of difference? And can you talk about the things in more depth than maybe what you're currently doing? Because I know like AI and ChatGPT has come on now, Kelly, which I think is great on so many different levels. But one thing I spoke to Phil about this, my mentor. AI ChatGPT can help a lot of things, but it's not going to help you if you're put on the spot and said, right, talk about that thing that you've been putting into AI and ChatGPT about personal branding or about 7 tips for food. Anyone can do that.
And I think you can start to spot it now, the classic way they write it and what have you as well.
Yeah, because I think even the hashtags are like a certain way, aren't they? You can just tell
emojis.
You can tell it's a robotic, and look, there's zero judgment on that. And look, I might use it every now and then for ideas on.
Yeah, absolutely.
But everything, some people might say, oh, this isn't efficient, and even my social media. Everything I write on my social media is me. It's from me. It's from my heart. It is me, the personal message, the personal branding. Because I've tried to be smart and semi-delegate that in the past, it didn't work. It didn't work.
Someone asked me recently, actually just in the last couple of weeks, they think the podcasting space is too competitive, and she'd said, I just don't think I should do it now because there's too many people doing it. And I said, well, I had my very first podcast in 2012.
Amazing.
I thought it was competitive then, and you think where we are now. So what would you say to that, someone that's like, no, I think I'm too late?
What's the cost of not doing it versus the benefit of doing it? And a great question I ask myself, maybe not even just in relation to a podcast, in relation to anything, is doing or not doing that thing likely to make my life better over the next 12 months? It's yes or no. So if someone is saying, it's a competitive market, if you don't do that start that podcast, who else is in your space doing that is further ahead? It's short-sighted. And I think even if there was, which there is, right? Even in my space, there's millions of online coaches that have popped up during COVID. Right? And I'm friends with some amazing coaches. So one thing I'll never do is need to put down other coaches to try and position me on a higher level. Like, I'm friends with some amazing coaches who are specialists in certain niches and things like that. Everyone's got their thing. And maybe this ties in with your whole help. People ultimately are going to buy into the person anyway. They're going to buy into the story, the beliefs, that identity. Generally speaking, we like and certainly invest in people that resonate with us.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? So even if it is a competitive market, be better. Be better and be yourself, because one thing people can't copy is you.
Love that.
Period. It's true though, right? Because we've all had imposter syndrome. I know I have too, for years before I started public speaking a lot more. And I know we joked about being on the same course with Andy Harrington. You can put people on a pedestal. You put people on a pedestal, right? Whether it's to do with public speaking, whether it's to do with coaching, whether it's to do... You put people on a pedestal, but they all started somewhere.
Yeah. And you only need to be one chapter ahead.
Somewhere. They did. And I generally think if you are feeling if you say, no, it's too competitive, instead of looking at whatever that is, whether it's a podcast or a new business or going to a new space, saying this is a lot of competition, maybe that's an emotional cue or the universe talking to you that if you are a little bit fearful that there's too much competition, maybe it's your chance to step up and be better and learn how to become an expert in that thing. If you are feeling it's competitive, because there's a part of you when you say that, I think, that is saying, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not as good as them. But those people started somewhere, but no one can tell your own personal story. No one can tell your own personal story, because we can all learn the skill, right? Like even in my space, Kelly, a lot of coaches I'm friends with, we've been to the same biomechanic courses, we've had similar mentors, we've traveled here, there and everywhere, but no one is you and no one has the same why. No one has the same internal purpose for doing that thing.
Yeah.
If you are doubting whether or not you can do a podcast or go into a certain space, ask yourself, where in your life right now do you have evidence that if you focus and you work hard and maybe lean on the right people, that you can be successful? And for many people, and I say this to all clients who are doubting whether or not they can transform physically, if you've run a business and you're a parent and you've even been able to maintain a healthy relationship for a number of years, which millions can't do, you've got evidence that you can hack the course and you can follow through and you can survive some ups and downs and you can push through limiting beliefs. And if you've done it in one area or multiple areas, you can do it again. Just sometimes don't think how, think who. What roadmap is going to take you to where you want to be quicker? What is the why behind what I'm trying to do? It's genuinely give people the belief that they are capable of becoming more and give them the confidence to believe that anything is possible, because I think so many people put a cap on where they can go because they don't have the belief yet in that given area. But every single person on this earth, even if they're the most pessimistic, negative person, or they're stuck right now, if they took time with a pen and paper and went, right, where in my life so far have I demonstrated that I can overcome adversity, violate a limiting belief, do something I didn't think I could do? The list would be endless. And what did they say to themselves when they did that? What was their preparation? What did they do with their body? What did they do with their mind? What did they do? Because everything's patterns. And if you've done it in one area, you can do it in another area. And that's my core message here. It's like, if you know in your heart you want to do something, become something, don't look back with what if. Really don't. Don't look back with what if. And the reason I say that with so much passion, you're listening to someone from the age 13 to 26. That's a long time, right? 13 years, that put a cap on what I could do because I had a knockback or two. And I played safe. And I think the worst feeling in the world is getting to the end of that last page of that storybook and going, what if? What if I tried a little bit harder? What if I did start that podcast? What if I was brave enough to tell my story, my personal branding? If I was brave enough to share something about my life that I believe would make the world a better place or inspire someone to do a certain thing. So.
Yeah. There's a saying that you never want to meet the person on your last day on earth of who you could have been.
Yeah.
And it's really true in everything that you've said there.
There's a great question. Sorry, Kelly. I had to share a question, and it's a Brendan Burchard question, but I've tweaked it, so maybe a hybrid of him and me, right? If you are ever doubting whether or not you could do something, or you're not sure about what decision to make in any given field, whether it's in business, with body, with health, relationship, ask yourself, what would my best future self say, do, or choose in this situation? Because often when you fast track yourself forward a few decades or even a few years and look back on this question that you've got now, you generally make a more logical decision rather than emotion-led decision when you are making that decision more aligned to the future you're trying to create rather than short term.
Yeah. I love that. I just want to say thank you so much. I feel like we could sit here for another 2 hours and continue on in the conversation, but I will wrap it up. I'd love to know what you can share as to what's next for what you're doing.
I'd love to say I've got life all figured out, but no, hopefully it's sort of come across in this episode, and hopefully I've added some value. And
absolutely. Here's some of the questions, and absolutely, whether it's not just, I feel there is a lot of value on not just even necessarily from the health and fitness, which I know is your niche, but also from the business capacity of the things that you've learned on your journey.
Yeah, 100%. Because I think there's so many parallels, and this is another thing I think is important is when people get stuck, whether it's in body or business or relationships, they focus on them in isolation, but everything works together.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, if people are feeling better about themselves, they'll perform better in business and have better relationships. And generally sometimes if someone's feeling inspired in business, then that might be the cue to, what, I can do that with my body. What's next for me? I mean, listen, I'm just absolutely obsessed from a business standpoint on trying to create a world-leading brand service program for entrepreneurs, business owners that genuinely helps them live the life they want and create lasting change with their physique, their mindset, their emotion. Simply put, live life on their own terms. So I want to become a genuine global leader in that field, and I think we're well on the way to that. I want to, again, just continue to public speak and share my message as much as I possibly can. And also from that as well, when you are growing your business and helping more people, I want to create more leaders even within my own team. It's not just me. I just love helping people perform at their best, providing opportunities by growing your business and things like that, and building a phenomenal community. Then on a personal front, fingers crossed, I'd love to, I want to be a father soon. So that's really important.
A wedding coming up. Have you set a date for it?
No, we haven't.
Okay.
We haven't, Kelly, because the baby stuff's more important just now. So
okay.
the next couple of years, I'd love genuinely to be a father. I think it's the greatest, gift in the world. And if you listen to this and you've got kids, it's one of the most precious things. So I'd love to become a father, just be the best possible businessman I can be, and just stay in shape, be healthy. It's my number one value, because without health, without healthy Kirk or high performing Kirk, energized Kirk, confidence Kirk, I can't bring the best of who I am to my business, to my mission, and to the people who need me at my best. And that's that really.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time, your effort, showing up here, sharing the value. We appreciate you.
No, I really, really appreciate it. And if you haven't checked out Kelly's book already.
Thanks.
Listen, I know I'm pitching her on her own podcast, but I can't wait to get my teeth into this, because I know we spoke about it before the episode started, and I think I spoke about it a little bit just a few minutes ago, didn't I, about your own story and things like that. I think your own story is so important. And I think just from personal experience, and I'm still trying to optimize my own personal brand now, it can get a bit hazy sometimes of going, what do I need to focus on when I'm trying to build my own personal brand? So I'm really looking forward to getting myself into this book. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.